Good afternoon from Oak Street in Champlain, New York. You're watching What's Going On Here. I'm Bob Benn, and this nice lady here who welcomed this afternoon is Rita LaBombard, and we're at the St. Mary's Mission Center.
That's right.
That's what we call it, Rita?
That's right.
I'm sure you've seen Rita around the village of Champlain, and if you were active in our church and have been to St. Mary's, you're there an awful lot too, right, Rita?
That's right. I work part-time at the rectory.
Yes, answer the phone sometimes, and
Yeah, whatever.
whatever, huh? All right, well, we're at the Mission Center because we think that all you people out there have heard a lot about and heard what goes on at the Mission Center, and we know there's a lot of clothes here. There are things sent to our Peruvian mission for the Sisters of the Charity of the Sacred Heart. Is that the way it's?
Yes, but they're in Africa.
Oh, and
The Peruvian missions is the one when we were
South
working
America.
in South America.
All right. We're well prepared. I'm well prepared. Go ahead. All right. Where are our sisters? They're in Africa, right?
South Africa.
All right, not Peruvian. Peruvian is a different, you do send things there too.
We did, but we had to discontinue. But they're working on reestablishing a shipping channel through there.
Okay. We're at, I guess this was your home, your mother's
That's right.
home?
We moved here over 40 years ago.
Okay, let's just get an idea of, we talk about the St. Mary's Mission Center. It was started by you and some group of ladies out here?
I worked on it a year before. We became organized. And then I realized after I had worked a year that alone you can't do too much. But together, united, with the same interests, you can accomplish a lot. And so after working a year, it was in January the 3rd, 1957 that we organized. We had our first meeting, and that's when the ladies decided to call. They all had great devotion to our Blessed Mother, so they decided to call it St. Mary's Mission Center.
Right, and your purpose at that time was to do what? Was it?
Well, we started out with religious articles. It seemed like every time you turn around, somebody had religious articles, and they didn't know how to distribute and to dispose of them. So I had the bright idea that I would gather the stuff and then prepare it and then turn it over to the propagation of the faith. I knew the director at the time was Monsignor Arquette. So I wrote him a letter, and I told him that I had these articles ready to be shipped out to wherever the headquarters was for the propagation of the faith. He said, well, I'm sorry to say we have no such place, but he said, you have my blessing to whatever I'd want to do. So I really was kind of disappointed. And then the sister Rita of Jesus was this the superior down here at the convent, and she had been a missionary in Africa. So I told her about it, and she said, I can give you all kinds of addresses of missionaries. So she gave me these addresses of Bishop Mabetwana and Father Blas and Father Chevalier. And I wrote them, and they immediately answered, so they would be glad to get the articles. So that's how come we sent our first shipment to Africa.
Well, now certainly I wouldn't just say, how can I dispose of this rosary or this statue? How did people know that you wanted these? What did you do for advertising?
It was mostly in the bulletin, the church bulletin, and there were a few in the surrounding areas that put if I knew the priest, I'd call them up and ask them to put an article in the paper, in their church bulletin, and then, there was a few articles in the papers.
Did some of these have to be repaired, or just where people just didn't want them anymore?
They didn't want them, and a lot of the time their parents had died, and they had left beautiful statues or beautiful rosaries or missals, and they didn't know what to do with them. And many times they were broken, but we repaired. I used to repair the statues, and some others would, like Victoria Gagnon, she repaired rosaries. Now, we started out by using tweezers to repair the rosaries with, and we often laughed, her and I, because we spent hours and hours on Sunday afternoon working with tweezers and repairing rosaries. And then all of a sudden we discovered that in some article in a magazine advertising for where we could get rosary parts. So I wrote there, and my gosh, we got rosary pliers, and we got the wires and the stuff. So then it became a challenge to her. She loved to make rosaries. I don't know, she made hundreds and hundreds of rosaries.
Right from scratch. I mean,
Right from scratch.
Well, now, we happen to have here a picture. And these are the original 7 people.
That's right.
And can you remember from the picture who they are in here?
Well,
From our left, that would be the first one here.
the first one is my mother, Mrs. Dia Nichols. Then Mrs. Bedard.
We'll take a short break. I got a phone ringing. Okay, we're back from our interruption. We had a telephone call, and it was for me. So we'll start over again. On the far left was...
Delia Nichols.
That's
That's
your mother.
my mother. And Joseph, Mrs. Raymond Bedard.
Yep.
And then Irene Lalone. And then Henrietta Macy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Irene Hamlin. And Victoria Gagnon.
Victoria Gagnon, and then you're sitting down at the chair here. And these are the original ladies, the original group of 7 that started this back in 1957.
Yes.
And I think we talked earlier that most of these people have passed away.
Yes.
There's only two of you left now?
3 of us.
3 of you left out of the 7. No? And are they still active with you now?
No, they're 2 of them. They're quite frail now, and so I'm the only one that's survived.
And you're not frail at all.
Well, I'm good. I just had a birthday, so.
Oh, we won't talk about, we'll just say happy birthday without saying what it is. Are you from Champlain originally, Rita?
No, I'm from Ellingburg. All my relatives are up in Ellingburg.
Mm-hmm. So were you weren't raised here then? Your mother was here and you were still in Ellingburg?
We came down from Ellingburg. My mother remarried. She married Nichols. My father died when I was 4, and several years later, my mother remarried Nichols. And then we moved from Ellingburg to Perry's Mills about 50 years ago. And then we moved from Perry's Mills over here because Dad could no longer farm, and that's how come that we landed over here.
Okay, then this St. Mary's Mission Center is on Oak Street in Champlain, nearly directly across the road from the Gunwood Cemetery.
That's right.
And now, in general, well, we'll start out and get back. We'll be jumping all around. We don't have any particular way here. Presently, are you still fixing rosaries? Are you still interested in rosaries and religious articles?
No, I'm sad to say we've had several people that have made hundreds and hundreds of rosaries, but now they're all deceased, and we don't have anyone working with rosaries right now. And I'm hoping someday that we'll have time to go back to it, but we just don't have the time anymore.
Mm-hmm. So now the main thing that you're getting here at the Mission Center is clothes?
Yes.
So people bring clothes to you as such?
People bring clothing from Canada, Vermont, all throughout New York State. It's just something...
Throughout New York State?
Yeah.
I mean, are they sent up here by groups?
Well,
people drop them off?
Relatives come up to visit. Somebody comes along to visit their relatives in town or around in this area, and they drop them off going by. It's...
And we're not talking just about a couple of pair of pants and things like that.
No.
We're talking, well, as a matter of fact, we recently, I was up here and we sent 84 fiber barrel drums, the type that come from Eris, those big drums, brown drums, 84 of those packed full of clothing and shoes.
Yes, they went to Africa, South Africa, to the sisters down there.
Okay, we have a map here. This is Africa you're looking at here, folks, and I think Calvin can see way down here. Calvin on the camera is Basuta land is right down in here. That is one of the missions.
Yes.
And then also
Natal.
Natal. This is the area. Now we'll be talking later, you'll be seeing a segment where I talked with Father Joseph
Balakadembe, and he's from Uganda.
But Father Masuka? That is
Makaza.
Makasa, I'm sorry, Makasa. And he's from Uganda, right up here near where it says Entebbe. And that's, he was here for several months, and we've talked to him back in September, and you'll be seeing that later on in this program. And we're also waiting to get more information today from Sister Rita, Sister Saint Rita, who was at the mission.
She was provincial
there, and we'd like to talk with her as to what's happening there. And giving back. Now that's where the 84 drums went.
That's right.
Okay, now here's where the problems start to come in. You ladies and men who come here and help you, and the clothing is brought here by tons at a time from different places,
right.
truckloads. Can sort it? What do? You sort it?
The work is done entirely with volunteer workers. It was started with volunteer workers, and I hope it'll always continue with our volunteer workers, because I feel God is so good to us. He has given us so much, and I feel very strongly that it's our way of thanking God for the blessings that He has given us. That was what I had in mind when I started this work 36 years ago, or 35 years ago. And I still can't get ahead of the Lord. He just, people are so wonderful, and it gives an opportunity for people to show the goodness that is in them. And many times people have said to me, oh, so-and-so, they could do so much, but they wouldn't do a thing. They could give so much money, or they could do this or that, but you couldn't do it. And the Lord works in mysterious ways. It's really amazing.
Well, now these clothes, when they get here, they're brought in boxes, bags,
whatever.
And are they folded? Are they clean?
Well, they're most of the time they are clean.
You don't have to wash these clothes, do you?
Well, once in a while
you
people
do?
forget to wash them, but most of the time people are very cautious about washing them now. Thank God for that, because when we're handling tons and tons and tons of clothing, it would be pretty hard if we had to wash them.
Now, these are in good shape. They're not whole.
No, they're all in good condition, because, the cost of shipping is so expensive that if they don't bring the clothing in good condition, it's not worth sending,
Right. And you get some new clothing. I've seen some clothes with tags on, maybe closeouts in stores that didn't move, and they're donating those, and belts and shoes. And when we think of Africa, we think of I think of warm weather, but it's not always warm down in South Africa, I take it.
No, in the hills they do have snow there occasionally, and some of the sisters told me that they suffered a lot with the cold, because when the sun goes down, it gets very, very cold there.
Mm-hmm. Are there drop-off points in our diocese other than here where people drop it and then they bring it to you?
Well, sometimes they do that, I guess, but most of the time it's delivered right here.
Well, now, for instance, these 84 barrels, drums that we put on trucks and we delivered them to the F.W. Myers building, where they were going to be held until a truck
picked them up and brought them to Montreal.
Now, was there any charge from bringing them to Montreal if somebody donated that?
I heard that they had a trucker that came down from Montreal to Myers' warehouse, picked up the drums, and didn't charge anything.
Okay.
And that's an example. And it's just like the paperwork for shipping, for going across the border and getting the stuff to Montreal used to be a tremendous problem to me. And this gentleman over at Myers started helping out, And they do all the paperwork at Myers and all. So I just, it's just one way you just can't thank God enough.
Are they doing that for you gratis?
They're doing that for free.
F.W. Myers, right? F.W. Myers, customs brokers have done this. And
It's about the third time that they've done this for
thank
us.
them for that. The whole parish and the whole, all the people of the area, Catholic or otherwise. It's not only Catholic clothes
No, it's
that
nothing.
you get, right?
No,
You get a
no.
lot of clothes of all kinds.
Yeah.
And then they get up to Montreal and they're put on a boat. And now, when they get on a
Yeah.
boat, it's going to cost you some money.
Well, the Sisters from Sherbrooke takes the responsibility of that.
Do they have more
Our
clothes up
job-
there that they join with it?
Yes, they do. And our job is getting the clothing packed and prepared, packed and shipped to Montreal. And then they take over and they take care of the rest of the way.
Okay, what I remember, that day you said you were glad to get the barrels out of the building because you had another truckload coming. Now, where was that truckload coming
That
from?
was coming from South Hero,
Vermont.
Vermont.
So probably the church over there had a drive for clothes.
Yes, and then over in another place in Vermont, in Albert, they have a lot of stuff waiting for the boxcar to arrive in Rouse's Point, and then they're going to put it right on the boxcar. We have a few places that have that. They're holding the clothing until the boxcar is spotted in Rouse's Point, and then I've got to call them, and they will drop it off right into the boxcar.
Okay, now let's talk about that boxcar for a moment. There you can put in plastic bags because it isn't going being
Yeah.
loaded and unloaded, boxes,
Yeah,
and some drums,
yes.
and then it goes to
It goes to the Native Americans in South Dakota.
where it also
Montana.
gets quite cold.
And
Montana?
they tell me that a lot of them are freezing to death down here, that there's so much in need. So we're trying to help them out. And then the other day, I heard that in Appalachia, there's a place there where they're suffering from the cold a lot there, and we're looking to see if we can open a channel somehow to ship down there some clothing.
Now, would I be in order if I said to people out there, if you'd like to donate some time to call and give you their name, if you have a truck and you'd like to help when we got to bring this merchandise to the train or to one of the, like the Myers last week or 2 weeks ago, that they could call and give you their name, and then when you need help, you could call those various people? Would that be all right?
That would be great.
All right, let me just say that. You just heard me say it. And if you call Rita LaBombard at 298-3503,
3503.
and it's under her name, Rita LaBombard,
Or the mission
or Mission
Center.
Center, it's listed both ways. And just tell them that when you need help, to give you a call, and that maybe you won't be available that day, but if you are, fine. I mean, if she can make, if she has 8 or 9 names and can get 3 people with trucks, it goes pretty quick. We had 2 trucks that day, and it didn't take us. I think we used 2 or 3 loads and each, and then we were all done in a little over an hour.
Yeah.
And the barrels weighed 85, the drums weighed 85 to 90 pounds or something like that, and they weren't bad. It went very, very clean and quickly. It doesn't go quite so quickly when we use the bags and we go to the train, but again, I told Rita it's either the hottest day of the year or the coldest, it seems. But she tells me, God will provide. You'll be glad you did it. And we did have some time.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back to you. We're going to look for some more pictures that you might be interested in and kind of get this in some kind of an order for you. Thanks very much for watching Hometown Cable every night. It's on every day at 1:15, 4:30, 8 o'clock p.m., midnight, and again at 8 the following morning. And the program is called What's Going On Here with Bob Benton and Calvin with that camera all the time. Is on Sunday nights, and we thank you very much for watching and your fine comments. And if you have any ideas, let us know. And don't forget, if you're not already a patron, consider it and become one. Well, our phone call we had before has worked out, and joining us here at the table, here at the Mission Center, is Sister Saint Rita,
Yes.
of the order from the Sacred
Heart Sisters.
Okay, and she's going to be talking with us. She's up here often, and we see her around our community, and she has been in Africa for a number of years, and we'll find out about that. But first of all, we're going to find out where her home was and how she became a sister. Sister, tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I came to St. Mary's in 1937 until 1941, and I was from Morris Forks, New York.
Way west to Morris Forks, huh?
Yes, and I was Fred and Marceline Brassard's daughter, and I stayed at Leo and Mr. Leo Manette's
Yes,
4 years.
that's my uncle.
Yes,
Yes,
I heard
yes,
that was your uncle.
Yes.
And we lived on Prospect Street, and I used to stop to Lucille Gay,
My mother-in-law, yes.
and I used to take Teresa to school and Bernadette.
Well, my wife and my sister-in-law. Well, we are getting close. Now, this is when you were in school?
Yes, I was in school.
Uh-huh.
And then I went home until September, and there I decided to become a nun. So I left in 41 to become a sister in Sherbrooke because we did not have the American novitiate then. And we stayed there 2 years in Canada. And after I was named for Newport, Vermont, where I stayed 10 years. And I taught school. I had the 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and 5th grade. And then I gave my name for South Africa. And the first time I asked my parents to come over, I didn't want to tell them what I was going to do, so I just told them to come over to Newport. I had something to ask them. So they came over. I hated to ask them that, but... And I told them I wanted, when they came over, I spoke a little of something else, and then I asked them the question of going to Africa. They were a little against it, but they said, if it's your wish, if it's God's will, well, I guess you have to go. So I got a yes. So in 53, I was sent over to South Africa to help our sisters down there.
And that was in Basutoland?
In Basutoland in those days. It became Lesotho in 1966 when it got its independence. It was a British protectorate before. So.
What did you see when you arrived there? For instance? What did you run into?
Well,
how did you get there? First of all, you fly?
Yes, I flew to Durban.
Mm-hmm.
And then from Durban, I took a car and I visited our sisters in South Africa. And I visited them for a couple of weeks. And then I went over to Lesotho. And I didn't have anything of what it could be. I didn't have any notions of what it could be. So I traveled and traveled and traveled by car. And then we got to Matatiele, and there I took a big lorry. They call it a lorry, but it's a big truck. And it had a big load on top in the back, and the sister sat on the load, and I sat in the front because they said, we'll give you the nice seat to get as far as Lesotho. And we traveled and traveled. I said, my, are we going to get there? And then I said, is this it? No. Is this the place? No. So finally, we got at the border gate. And that border gate was just one little white building. And they asked where I was from and all that, and then we crossed. And then we had a mile and a half to do. So, kept on, got to the missions. And when I got there, well, there was 2 white sisters and all the others were dark colored. So they greeted me, and I said, how will I ever remember the names of those sisters? I said, they all look alike. So I finally got their names. And there was Sister Rose Evelyn that was there. Some of you maybe know her, Sister Rose Evelyn. She was here in Champlain all the time.
It's familiar. I can't put a face with the name, but I certainly remember the name.
She was a short sister, and she was very bright. And one Saturday we were in a hut together, and she says, I'm starting to put my cap on. I said, what did you mean? Well, she says, I'm starting to get used to it. After 5 years? I said, it took you 5 years to get used to it? I said, how long will it take me? So she says, well, it took me 5 years, and I went on the road many times with my suitcase. I wanted to go back. and I never went back. And she says, I thank the Lord now because I'm starting to get used to it. I said, well, it take me 5 years to get used to it. She says, you're already used to it. You have nothing to worry about because I see you and you're right in it and you like the sisters and you're going to be okay. So I kept on my work and that's the way it went.
And that was in what year you said?
In 53.
In 53. Now, we do have a picture here. Now, this is Sister...
Rita of Jesus.
Okay, now this is...
The
right?
first sister that went over in 1935. She went over there in 1935 with some sisters from Canada.
I'm sure you'll recognize anybody here from the area who went to school at St. Mary's will recognize her.
Oh, yes.
She came back here after 35 because I knew her after that, obviously.
Oh, yes,
And
she was superior.
the regular smile here she had. And she was there in 35, number 1.
Yes.
And you never taught at St. Mary's?
No, I never taught. And she was the first teacher that I had in Morse Forks teaching religion on Saturday, Sister Rita of Jesus. And I remember her. I was 7 years old. And then after she taught me religion, I went home that day and I said, Mother, I'm going to become a nun when I get big. She laughed at me. I said, no, I'm going to become a nun and then I'll go and work with the little darkies. So she laughed at me, but it came out, it was true.
You know, when I went to school at OLVA in Plattsburgh in the elementary, I never knew that sisters had last names, and I never knew they had hair, sister, because they used to keep their, right up here. I said, one time I went back a little bit, I said, you have hair. I thought they were bald. I didn't know. I thought it was welded on or something.
Yes, we have a lot of pictures of
Why is it that sisters can look so friendly and other times so stern that they never smile at all? You do that on purpose, don't you?
No, it's not on purpose. There's some sisters that smile and some others don't.
They don't smile as much.
Just nature that they're made that way, I suppose.
Okay, now, living conditions. Where did you live? Did you have a room? Do you have a big room?
I had a little room, but it was nice. It wasn't bad.
Is it a one-story house?
A one-story house, yes.
Made out of wood?
No, made out of stone. We have a lot of stones over there. Bricks, stones that long.
Yeah. Is there a village? Was there like a little...
There's a little village like those that live around the missions.
Mm-hmm. And how many were at the mission when you arrived?
There were quite a few. There were about 12 sisters in the mission where I was. Yes, it's called Hermitage Mission. But the fathers have outstations. See, that's a mission. Hermitage has 4 missions. Secakis is where we had the novitiate, and there's about 25 outstations. Outstations are little villages where they have mass 4 times a year. The fathers can go just 4 times in a year's time, 4 in one place and 4 in another. But the main mission is called Secakis, Hermitage, Eagles Peak, St. Francis, Bethel, Lusbing, and all the other missions. We have 11 missions.
Did you ever learn to say the sisters' names?
Yes,
Finally,
yes.
you could tell one from the other?
It didn't take too long, because some were tall, some were short, so I got them.
You know, we were mentioning that there's Sister Rita here, and there's Sister Rita here, and here's Rita, another Rita in Plattsburgh. And Calvin happened to mention off camera we should have named this the St. Rita Mission Center in Champlain, and probably it would be changed to that.
Yes, I think it would be a good idea.
Did the children stay at the mission, or did they come every day?
We have boarders at the mission, and we have children too.
What's that?
We have a high school.
Oh, there's a high school?
Yes.
How many students would there be?
There's about 200 students
Now,
in
are we
high
talking
school.
now or back when you were there?
No, they had a training when I arrived there, a training school where they learned to be teachers. And there were sisters teaching. Sister Rose Alice, who was a pupil here, she started the school with Sister Rita of Jesus.
Now, if they didn't go to your mission to school, would they have gone to school at all?
They have a classroom mission, a little building, and they have all the grades in one building. They didn't have any seats. They sit on the floor, and they didn't have any blackboard. They didn't have anything. They were outside most of the time.
That's at the
Under-
regular school. At your school, they had seats?
Well, yes, they had old seats.
Okay.
We got the old benches from other places, and fathers used to make some. Yes.
Well, how many fathers were there? They had like a,
There were Canadian fathers.
and they were, and that's a missionary group, right?
Yes,
Okay.
a missionary group there,
Okay.
the Oblates of Mary Immaculate.
Okay. How long were you in?
I was 37 years there.
37 years? How many years did it take you to get acclimated? Did it take you 5?
No, it didn't take me 5. I was home right away.
And you really loved it. 37
I loved it.
years.
Yes, I didn't get lonesome at all. No. I must say I never was lonesome.
Did you come home periodically?
The first time was 10 years. And then it was 8 years. And then it was 6, and now it was 4.
So how long have you been back now?
It made 1 year in January. It's going to make 2 years.
2 years. And you're retired now? If you pardon the expression, you're not going back to Africa?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And I was there 37 years. I think that I...
You were teaching for all 37 years?
Yes. I taught. I was provincial of the sisters.
Tell us what that means. Everybody out there doesn't know what provincial means. It sounds like a place in Canada.
Provincial means, well, it means...
You're the boss.
Yes, I'm the boss, if you want to say. Of all the sisters, you know, we have to visit all the
Yes.
houses and all, see if everything is running well and so on. So I was 8.5 years doing that work, and then I was 8 years as secretary of the bishop, of Bishop Botswani.
This is after you were provincial?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, do you have, if you care to tell us, do you have brothers or sisters in Moores Forks now?
Yes, I have a sister. She's going to be 70 years old soon.
Oh, she'll love you, have you say that. Now, do you dare tell us who she is?
Eldora Dicas.
There you go, all right, and she's 70-year-old. Happy birthday, Mrs. Dicas.
And then I have Rita Hall.
She's a sister of yours?
Yes, she's a sister of mine.
Yes, and she's from the Moores Forks?
Chateauguay.
Chateauguay. Well, she won't see this on TV live anyway, but...
And then I have Beatrice LaValle in Ellingburg.
It was a big family. How big was your family?
We're 6.
Okay. All right,
And
now
I have 2 brothers, Arthur and Elvin.
And they both living?
Yes.
You both up there too?
They're both, one in Mineville and one in Massachusetts.
All right. Still, there's 5 out of the 6 still living, huh? Yeah.
Oh yes, we're all living.
Do you think?
And I lost my mother this year in January.
Just
she was
this
90.
year?
Yes.
Well, that's terrific. Now,
Yes.
now that your sister, we all know how old she is, I got to at least take a chance and say, are you going to tell us how old you are? No. She's going to want me to tell people how old now.
Well, I'm 66.
All right.
66
You're not supposed to
in August.
ask that, but because she
Oh,
told
yes.
her sister, it's only fair, right? I think I'm awful, Rita.
Oh, no.
All right. Now, getting to tie you in together here now, have you ever visited here at the Mission
Oh, yes,
Center
I visited-
before
No,
this
not
time?
before, no. I visit,
When
before
she
this
come
time,
home
yes,
on
but,
her visits.
yes.
You
I-
have been here when
yes.
you've been home on your visits,
Yes,
right?
I always came here every time I came back from South Africa, and I collected clothes to send back to Africa. And Rita was very generous. We packed 70 and 80 barrels.
I know. All right, now,
clothes.
all right, this is what we want to do. Now, we know here that the clothes are brought here individually by groups from other churches, and then people like Mrs. Dutil, who was just here, and her sister-in-law, who were here, are out there now doing some work. And they fold them and they put them in different, you arrange them by what,
And
summer,
fiber
winter?
ground- No, we used to do that, but we don't have the time anymore. So we just take them and we fold them and roll them and place them in fiber drums or in plastic bags.
Okay, so there's 84 that just left for Africa,
Yes.
right? Now, in Africa, they will arrive at your mission how?
Well, they arrive at the port of Durban,
Yes?
and then they stay there 2 weeks or 3 weeks or more until they have all the papers and everything ready. And then they ship them, to Matatiel. And there we have to wait until there is a load on a train to come as far as Matatiel. That takes sometimes a month. And then from there, they come up in the big truck. And we have men, the prison men, come and unload them.
What prison men?
Well, those who don't pay their taxes or they're put in prison.
In your area, right?
Yes.
In your immediate
yes.
area?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have a big prison there, and then we hire them to come and help us to unload.
You hire them?
Yes. Well, we don't pay them.
Okay. But you pray for them, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, so they unload the barrels.
Yes, and then, well, we start the sisters start opening them, and they're all happy.
Yeah.
When they see winter clothes and summer clothes and all that. And the people come up, I'm
Okay,
telling
now,
you.
I want to go step by step. You take the stuff out, and you put it in shelves, you put it in piles,
Yes.
divide it, summer,
Yes,
winter.
we have built a little house especially for the clothing. We didn't have that, but towards the end they said we'll build especially to put the clothes in.
Okay. The people are looking forward.
Yes, they see when the big truck comes with the boxes or the drums,
Mm-hmm.
they watch for it, and then they all come.
Now, how do you apportion this to people? They have to try them on, trying to get something
Oh
their
yes,
size.
they try them on, and
Are they allowed 1, 2,
Yes.
3,
Oh,
4?
yes.
How do you?
As many as they want.
As many as they want,
Yes.
practically, huh?
Yes.
And they don't waste.
No, they don't waste. But sometimes some of them give a little for it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They give a little money for it because they said you have transport to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's expensive nowadays
Oh, I know,
to
yes.
pay the transportation.
Yes, very much so.
Oh, it's very expensive.
Yes, that's the worst part.
Yes. So they give a little for what they have. And
Mhm.
it helps
So now
pay
you
the
don't get rid of it all at one time.
Oh, no.
You keep it as
Yes.
it's needed during
Yes.
the year, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you have enough to keep you through until you get another load?
Yes, it's always it's about time there's another load that comes in.
Yeah, well, it's
Yes.
on its way, huh?
Yeah.
It's on its way
We
now.
say, well, it's going to be soon.
Yeah. Well, now, I don't know if when I'm talking with ladies, I have trouble with sizes as far as how big a building is. Is the building as big as this kitchen?
No, it's not quite as big.
Okay, so we're talking, probably be 20 by 15 or something
Yeah,
like that,
15 by
right?
20,
Like a
that's what it
garage,
is, yeah.
size of a garage. Okay, and that would be all stacked up in the shoes?
Yes.
Okay.
The shoes are put together, the dresses are hung up. They sent enough hangers and that, we hang them up.
If they didn't get this clothes from you, would they be wearing normal type clothing?
Well, not all of them, because some can't afford it.
Mm-hmm. How wide of an area would they come to the mission to get clothes? From how far away?
Oh, they come from far. Some of them come from the Republic.
30 miles or
Oh,
more?
yes.
More than that?
Mhm.
Huh? Where's your next nearest mission to you?
17 miles,
17?
Yes.
That part of your same group?
yes.
So that when you were provincial over all 4, I think you mentioned 4, right?
11.
11.
And we don't, we don't count the number of miles, we count the number of hours it takes.
Okay.
Because that's more accurate.
All right.
From Secaucus to Bethel, it takes 6 hours to get there.
Okay. Now, do you always go by car or do you have bicycles?
No bicycle.
No bicycle.
No bicycle. I don't think we'd succeed in the bicycle. We'd have to go by car.
Is it safe to go, like you say, you were Ascension, you were driving. Does that mean you were driving alone?
Well, we always were accompanied. I
Okay.
always was accompanied.
But it's pretty safe?
Yes, yes, it's safe in Lesotho.
And most of the it's agriculture there, farming mostly?
Well, it's done, but it's very poorly because we have poor rain. We don't hardly have any, and then the soil is not good.
What do they do for a living? How do they rate?
Well, living is very complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Very hard. It's very hard because they are not tempted to plant or raise a garden because they have big hailstorms and it destroys all the gardens.
Hail? I
Yes.
didn't get that much hail.
The
huh?
hail is
Oh, yeah?
that big sometimes.
You break windows.
Yes, they do. Hmm.
How did Sister Rita determine that she wanted to go there rather than some other place in Africa? Have you any idea?
Well, we were asked to go in that region,
Okay.
and that's why our first sisters went to Kachasnek to start with.
Hmm. All right, so now we know what happens to your clothing, huh? And what are you doing right now? You're back in St. Mary's. We see you in church, and we see you
Yes.
walking on the street, and we see your smile. Do you? Oh, wait a minute. Before we get into that, you started to tell us off camera here about meeting a priest,
Oh, meeting
a doctor.
Yes,
A doctor. Tell us about that again on camera. Now, don't cut it short.
Well, I was asked to go to Durban with an African sister to see the doctor of Durban. And we left by bus to go to Durban, and there we came to the hospital where doctor was. And I had a letter for him. So we went to see him, and then he said, "Sister, where are you from?" I said, "I'm from United States." He says, "Where in United States?" Well, I said, "In the state of New York." He says, "Where in the state of New York?" I said, "Well, from Morris Forks, a little one-horse town." He got up and he said, "I'm from Morris Forks."
Pretty impossible.
I said, "Are you really?" He says, "Yes, I'm Dr. Taylor from Morris Forks." I said, "My goodness, I didn't think I'd meet somebody from Morris Forks here." And then he says, "Well, you'll have to come and see my wife after dinner, and some ladies from Utica and Rochester and Syracuse. They're working all in the hospital. They make all kinds of bandages and all that for the sick, you know."
Uh-huh.
So we talked a little while, and then he was asking all kinds of questions. And he asked if we had fish there in Lesotho, because he was a fisherman, I think, in his spare time. So we said yes, and he said, "Well, I'll be up there to fish," but he didn't come up. I don't know when he died, but anyway, he came over to Moore's, and he came over to see my mother and father.
While you were still in Africa?
In Africa. He came to tell them that he met me and everything else. And he says, "You know, I worked on the Macadam Road up there, from Morse Forest to Ellenburg." I said, "Oh, my grandfather did too." He says, "Well, I worked with John Manette and so on." Well, I said, "If you worked with John Manette, that was my grandfather."
Did families know each other? Did your parents know the
No.
Taylor family or anything like that?
He knew his father. Yes. He knew his father.
If you're from Morris Forks and if you're not a Rabidoo, you've got to be. You know, I was looking up recently in my looking for a Rabidoo
Rabidoos
name.
are many
There were 40
Rabidoos.
listed in Moors. 40 Rabidoos listed in the Moors Forest.
And Lavalleys.
And
There are
Lavalleys,
plenty
the
of
other, yeah.
Lavalleys.
All right. We'll take a short break right here and give Calvin a rest on
Yes,
his
he must be
shoulder. and
tired.
We'll be right back here. We're at the St. Mary's Mission Center. We're with
Rita?
Sister St. Rita and just little old plain Rita right here. The director and her home here on Oak Street in Champlain, New York.
That's right.
Well, Sister St. Rita and Calvin went over to the convent and picked up her slide projector and some slides, and we're looking at the southern part of Africa, Sister?
Yes, the southern part of Africa. It's Basutoland, but now it is, since 1966, it is called Lesotho. It's that little yellow that you see there.
Down about would be 4 o'clock on a clock. Down
Yes.
just off center, down below,
No-
that yellow.
Yes.
All right, that's Basutoland. Okay. Okay, now we're looking on the outside of a stone building. Is that a
Yes.
home or a...
That's a home, and that's the grandpa is sitting on the steps there.
No.
What is medicine bottle?
Where's his medicine bottle? Oh, yes.
Yes.
All right, now, that's a blanket he has?
Yes, a nice blanket.
Did
That's their customs that they have to wear a blanket. Even in summertime, they wear their blanket too.
How
Some of
old
them.
Sad Man would be? He's in his 70s, maybe?
Yes.
70s? They live pretty
Well,
old?
no, generally they don't, but they live to be 70 anyway,
Mhm.
or more, but
Okay.
some of them die young.
Now this obviously is 2 or 3 year old.
At 3 years old,
Uh-huh.
about, yes. You
And-
see she's not very clean. You look at her legs and her hands, but she's happy.
You know. Now, not much grass.
No, not much grass and not many trees.
Okay, now would that be some clothes maybe they might have got from the mission?
Yes, they got that from the missions.
All right, if anybody out there sent that little little sweater, you can see
Yeah.
what's happening to it.
Yes. And thank you very much for sending it. This is our mission at Sikakis. You see the buildings at the down in the corner there,
Yes.
and you see two donkeys, and they're going with the body of a dead person.
This is a funeral?
Yes. And the people are following in back. He died at the mission, and they're going to go home with the body, and he's going to be buried at home.
Now, I don't see any grass really. Is there no green grass?
There's no green grass.
There's no trees?
There's no trees.
But those two buildings in the back are your mission?
Yes, there are buildings for the old people. We keep elderly people there,
I see.
especially the parents of our sisters.
Is there electricity?
No, not there.
Would they be, what would they have there, a
A
generator?
little lamp.
A little, just a
Yes.
lamp, huh? That's what they
But
have?
in the mission, we have a generator.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh,
This is a witch doctor. The witch doctors do quite a bit there in South Africa as medicine and other things.
now is it hilly like this in most of the area?
Yes, it is very hilly there. And here it's hilly, and there's a river at the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm. No trees. It looks strange.
Yes. Very few trees. Here's the mother grinding her food.
Now again, probably some of the clothes that they would have picked up. Maybe?
Yes, also the sweater is one, yes. And
If,
she has her blanket around her and holding her baby on her back.
did you take any of these pictures?
Yes, I took this one.
How far would that have been from your mission, say, as such?
Well, from the village.
And that's right nearby?
Yes, this is nearby, this one. Mhm.
Mm-hmm. So they have no electricity at all?
Oh, no,
None
they
of
have
them.
no electricity.
But the mission had electricity?
Electricity by a generator.
Right, a generator, okay.
Yes. We have electricity from 6 o'clock at night until 9.
6 to 9 at night?
Yes, and that's all.
It's hard to play your TV. Okay, typical, what is that in the background? Is that
It's
a home?
hut, yes.
That's where they live?
Yes, that's where they live.
And
And they're eating outdoors from the big cooking pot.
Uh-huh. Now that's one
He's
room in
eating
there?
papa, I think.
Eating what?
Papa.
What is papa?
It's wheat, some kind of wheat that they eat.
Now, is there only one room in that building?
Yes.
One big room,
Mhm. It's the kitchen and dining room and bedroom and
What do they-
and
huh?
everything.
What do they use for heat?
They in wintertime they have a pail with holes, and they put cattle dung in there, and they heat it up. That's what they have. That's all.
Must be kind of cool. Not very comfortable. All right. Now, I'm going to focus it here. Okay. We're looking at a large mound of earth. Now, the village that you were at was...
At the bottom of the mountain, you have the
Yes.
village. That is a village right there.
Is that where you were?
And, no, but it's
Oh.
not far from there. And then on this side is the grazing grounds, where they plant maize
Mm-hmm.
and sorghum and other crops.
Do they have a lot of animals? They have a lot of cows?
They have animals, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't have much to eat.
That's not what I think of when I think of Africa. I think of Africa with all of the vegetation.
This is a Xhosa tribe, the Xhosa people. They're outside of, they're in the Republic of South Africa.
We're trying to focus this here. How do we focus it? With this right here? Yep. All right. These are Xhosas, you said. What's
Yes.
Xhosa? That's a tribe?
That's a tribe, yes. That's the name of a tribe of people. See, the Basutus are from Lesotho. The Zulus are from Natal. The Xhosas are from the mostly from the Transkai.
Do they, what am I going to say, are they fierce or do they fight much? Are they still doing that? Arguments
well,
between?
sometimes they do.
Still have their arguments, huh?
Yes.
They're pretty well dressed. That's some of the
Yes.
clothes probably they got from here.
Yes, some of them, except the brownish. I don't think it comes from here because they have their white blankets and then they roll them into the dirt and they get that color.
They roll them in the dirt to get the
Yes,
color?
Yes.
Well, do you get clothes or anything else like this from anywhere except northern New York? Any other?
New York and France and Canada.
They also ship you some?
Yes.
Uh-huh. And those are the huts back there, this little
Yes,
village?
the white huts, yes.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, now there's the normal huts, I guess, on the left, and that looks like more like a U.S. building or...
Yes, that's a zinc building that we have for the food that comes into the country, like milk and whatever food they... Catholic Relief sends?
Yes?
Yes, that's where we keep it.
So you...
And these children are the children that attend school, some of the girls that are there.
Okay, so you, in addition to the clothing, you also get food, and you give food out, too.
Yes, we give food in the clinics, but we don't give it now since 2 or 3 years because they don't send any.
Okay, now the clinic, I think of a clinic as like a where a doctor is and so forth? Is that what you're talking about?
There's no doctor, but there are sisters in the clinic.
Okay, the sisters are taking care of people who are sick?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's a long way to a hospital, isn't it?
Yes, it's quite a long way.
What do you do if you break a leg?
Well, we have to wait.
You wait and you do the best you can there, huh?
Yes.
And today, are there more than the 12 sisters today in the...
No, there's
your
about
mission?
12 again.
12
yes.
still there, huh? Well, just dedication, sister.
Yes.
And we'll see if I can focus this in a little bit. All right, now there's nice flowers planted.
That's a little baby that came to the clinic.
Uh-huh.
So he's just there waiting for his milk and his oil.
They come daily?
No, they come once a month.
Uh-huh.
One group, and then another group, and then another.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. This is the main way of transportation.
That's the bus.
Yes.
One-person bus. And again, you see the barren desolation as far as
Yes.
no trees or
No,
grass.
That's what I say. There are no trees that are there. Just in the missions, you'll see trees
Mm-hmm.
that we planted. They had trees before, but they took them out because they were afraid of wild animals.
Oh, that's some beautiful color.
Yeah, flowers. Beautiful flowers.
What temperatures do you get there, sister?
Those
Normally?
are cactus,
Yeah?
and they're growing, and at times they flower.
Uh-huh. How warm does it get normally on a hot day?
It gets quite hot.
Get 100?
Really hot, yes. We get
Oh, yeah?
100 degrees.
And there's no rain, you said? Very little rain?
Very seldom there's rain.
Where do you get your water?
Well, we get it. We
You have a well?
There are springs, and we draw them through pipes, and they come to the mission.
Mm-hmm. Oh, someone we recognize. Looks like somebody from Morris Forks I know.
That's yours truly.
That's yours truly, yes.
I'm passing candy to the little ones.
I'll bet they like that.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk about Morris Forks, the little town of Morris Forks, the little town of Morris Forks has an awful lot of religious
Yes.
people. The Menard family with what?
Yes.
4 in the family?
Yes, that's right. 3
uh,
priests and a sister.
Yes, and then there are others.
There's La Valley.
The Valley.
There's Francis White. There's Father Francis White.
Yeah. There's Brassard. Sister Rita Brassard. Yes, Morris. Father Gilbert did a great job there.
Yes, he
over
worked
the years.
very hard.
He sure did.
Yes.
Now that's a typical
Mosutu.
Masutu.
Holding her baby.
They have a hard life,
Yes, they have a hard life. And
but do they know it?
I think so, but they are happy people.
They're happy people?
They're happy and they have a great sense of hospitality.
Mm-hmm. They must be very pleased that you are there, obviously, as a mission, huh? The mission must be a great for the
Yeah.
area. Oh, now we're back
To grinding.
grinding again.
They grind all the food on the stone.
And they do it just as they need it?
Yes,
Mostly,
to get it ready,
yeah.
I guess. Now here's the mission of Christ the King from the air. You see the wing of the plane.
Yes.
I took that, but I didn't succeed too well. But you have the mission.
Now that's the
And
mission.
you see there are trees now.
Yes. Now this the mission where you were?
Yes.
This is the mission where you were?
Sikakis. And those trees that are at the other end,
Yes.
I planted them with the sixth graders. We were having agriculture, and we planted trees, and
Huh.
that's the way they are today.
Very interesting. How old is this picture, would you say?
It's about 20 years old.
It's that long ago?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Mhm. This is a decoration we did at Christmas. Sister did the drawing,
Mm-hmm.
and we decorated the Blessed Virgin. Well, I won't say everything we have under there, but anyway,
Mm-hmm.
we made the Blessed Virgin and baby Jesus.
Very pretty. Yeah.
They really liked that. The
Right.
people really went, and the children really liked this at the Midnight Mass.
Mm-hmm.
They found it very beautiful. And
It
they
is,
made an
yes.
ox and they made a donkey.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. There again, we have some typical homes.
And there's a school. There's the school is the square one.
Way over in the left?
Yes.
Yes.
Where there are children standing.
Right.
And then these three huts are people living in them.
Now, Calvin asked when we were off camera about the language. You teach in English or do you teach in Masutu?
We teach in English from standard 5, 6, and then 7, 8 in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then the lower class, they learn English also, but they have it as just a subject. And they have Sesotho.
Now, none of these natives, the native people there, speak English, right?
No, the natives don't.
So you have to speak-
The teachers do, but the natives don't.
Okay, so you have to speak
Sesotho with them.
And can you talk to me in Sesotho a little bit here? Can you say to me, good morning, or you're glad to be here, or something?
Well, I'm not so very glad to be here.
Oh, yeah, but you got to say that in Masutu, though. So, can you say...
I can say, Orodiswe Jesu Christi, and you answer, Le Maria Tsinansikodi, and Mary be with you. And, Wapele Shuang, how are you? Kepela Huntley, I am well. And if you're given something and you want to say thank you, you say Kea Lebua.
Okay, well, we have learned our lesson today of Masutu.
Is that a white sister, I think?
It's hard, yes, I believe you can tell by the
That's
hand.
a sister from the clinic, yes.
All right.
She's in the garden, and then she's giving them food, I think.
It's still most of the sisters, the majority are Masutu?
Yes, the majority are Basutus. Now, this is a garden, and it shows you it's not very good.
Yeah, that's the garden, yeah.
Yes. It's not,
Not many weeds.
no, either.
No. Well, this is like a siesta.
Now they're making pots.
Uh-huh.
They make pots out of clay.
Nothing they aren't spinning at all, are they? They
No,
don't spin
well,
them?
they work it with their hands, you know.
Uh-huh. Now, are those for themselves, or do they trade with somebody else?
They sell some, and they keep some.
This is rather a big building, or more than one building. These are not homes?
They're huts.
They are their huts?
Yes, sometimes they build more huts, and they have, one hut for the kitchen, one hut for sleeping.
Okay, they do. Is there
Yeah.
more than one family living together, sister? In other words, mother and father, grandparents, are they together very often? Or did each have their
Well,
own hut?
sometimes they have them. They live together, and sometimes they don't. You
That's
know.
a chicken there, too.
Yes, oh yes. The
Oh, you
chicken,
got chickens.
they're part of the family. Now there's our, he's about 10 years old today, this little boy, but he's a little boy that we adopted
At the mission.
at the mission. He didn't have any mother. His mother was, she died 2 months after his birth. So father came up to the mission and asked if we'd keep him because he couldn't keep the baby. He was working in the mines, and
Now,
so
sister,
we kept this little boy.
and he stays there with you now still?
Yes, and he goes to a school now. He's about 10 years old now.
What's his name?
Anthony.
Yeah, oh,
We call him Tony.
what's a typical name of a Masutu? Any names you can think of? Any of the children that would be different than?
Their name, they all have a Susutu name, like Palisa, flower, Tabo, joy. That's what they give them as names.
When Sister Joe left here, St. Mary's, and went to Africa, was she in your
No,
mission?
well, she was at the end, but at the beginning she worked in Natal with the
Okay.
Zulus.
Okay. She helps. She was the idea for the bazaar way back then was hers.
Yes,
This obviously is a garden.
yes, that's the garden.
A lot of space
That's the
between the
garden.
rows.
Yes. And the poor ladies, they water the gardens and everything, and half the time they don't grow.
Yeah. They have to go a long way for the water?
No, they come to get it at the mission.
Okay. Now, did you build where they were, or did they build their huts where the mission was?
No, they built where they were, and where
then you went
yes, we
to
built
where
there.
they were. It's not a very big. How many people would be in that area?
I don't know. Can't tell you.
Would you say, are there 50 huts like this around the
Oh,
area?
yes,
There
yes,
are at least
yes.
that many?
Mhm.
Okay.
And this is what we call a fire. This is where they make fire, and it's according to the wind, how the wind blows.
Oh, you mean they put
The
it in one of the four
yeah,
corners?
Yes.
That's to cook. To cook?
To cook, yes. They
Do-
put the pot on the. They put cattle dung at the bottom, and then
Yeah.
they put the pot on and make the.
But
fire.
there's not the one. Does it more than one family use the one fire?
Yes, there's more than one family can use this corner, and you know.
Is there a government here? I mean, is there a mayor or is there
there's
someone
a
in
chief.
the chief of
Yes, he's in charge of the mission. Oh, that one's upside down.
That's upside down. Well, all right. Now that's is that Anthony?
That's Anthony again.
You're
And
right
there's
there.
a little hut, a little Christmas hut. That was taken at Christmas time at the dispensary.
He looks happy. Big smile.
Yes. Oh, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Oh,
Yes, he
he
is.
is very pretty. Our little Tony.
Now this is what is this?
This is a church. It's a feast at church. Maybe
Wow.
it was a Christ the King feast where all the people come out and
Is that right within the mission where all those trees were you showed us? Was that in that
yes,
area?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. That's where it is.
Oh, quite a few people there.
And that's the money was given from a Canadian father, and then the church was built there with stones, and
Yeah.
then the top
Looks
is
pretty good
just
size.
glass.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not quite straight.
That's all right. All right, let me see if I can.
These, well, it was to show that we have rocks too.
This is all right. This is a typical.
Yes, that's the rocks
Yeah.
of the way up on the mountains.
Nice blue sky.
Yes, and there's no blue like this in other countries, I don't think. There's Bishop's on.
That's your bishop.
I didn't think.
Well, there you go. All right. Now he was the bishop, and he was this is the gentleman whom you were a secretary to for over 8 years.
Yes.
And we have his picture here. We'll show you that later. And he shows him with the Pope.
Yes.
And I've heard rumors that you met the Pope. Is that right?
Yes, I met the Pope. I shook hands with the Pope, and I prepared for his visit.
Isn't that nice?
was really nice. In 1988.
I can't not say this from that little one-horse town of Moore's Forks, like you said. Wait till people see me from Moore's Forks. Well, that's what you said. Those are your words. Oh, there's.
That's a patient, also.
He's a patient?
Yeah, she's a patient.
She, okay. Oh my, that's a patient.
Yeah, that's a patient too.
Wow. Malnutrition.
So you
for
can
sure.
see the church from out the window, and you can see the school on outside.
Yeah.
But that's a little baby. You can see his ribs and.
Yeah. Do you have beds, or are these the sections where they sleep?
Well,
or?
this is the section where they receive the patient
Oh,
when
I
they have
see.
some to lie down sometimes,
Mhm.
and so
Wow.
it's sad.
That's
to
sad.
see.
It sure is.
Oh yes.
It sure is. A lot of suffering.
Yes.
That's a nice scene. That's a typical road.
Yes, that's our road. That's our road from the mission, and it goes down, and you go that way. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even though you don't think it is
Well,
is beautiful. The
I-
mountains, we don't get tired of seeing the mountains, and they're bare mountains,
Mhm.
but they're always nice to see.
Mm-hmm. Much crime
And
here?
they,
Much crime, sister? Is anybody...
well, sometimes, yes.
Yeah, there are.
Mhm.
Violent crimes? Many people... is there murders there and so forth, like you would have typically? Yeah? Yeah? All right, there's some
The
animals.
cows.
Nice pasture land. Must take a lot of land to pasture one
I
cow.
know it. The poor cows. You
Yeah.
know that it's sad that
It's
they
tough.
don't have more food.
Yeah.
And in wintertime, when the ground is covered there and they have to go out and look for grass, it's really sad.
How much snow do you get?
Well, in Lesotho, well, it depends, but we do get quite a few
I mean-
inches of snow.
I mean, will there be 3 or 4 inches of
Yes,
snow on the ground?
about,
You can't
yes.
see the ground at all?
Mhm, yes.
Okay.
And it's really cold because we have no heating system.
Yes. How did you heat the mission buildings? Your building, same way with cow dung?
No, cattle
Yeah.
dung. And,
You can see there's no wood to
yeah.
burn.
No, that's it.
There's no trees to
No.
cut. Probably just. Are there any more? Okay. Well, okay. This is the mission then taken,
Yes.
and you say the sky
Sky is beautiful.
Yes, it sure is. And those are not rain clouds either.
No,
Just
I
nice
don't
clouds.
think it will rain, but
Hmm.
it's beautiful.
So a typical evening, if the power goes off at 9, you go to bed by 9,
Oh yes, we go to bed by 9.
Uh-huh.
We're all in bed
and you're up at what hour?
at 5 o'clock in the morning.
In the morning.
Yes,
For all day?
for all day. Yes.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock
When,
until
when
9.
does school start?
At 8 o'clock.
So you have a short
we-
evening.
Yes.
What time
very
does it get
short.
dark? Is it dark by
Oh, it's
6
dark
o'clock?
by 6 o'clock. 5:30.
Year round?
Year round. Yeah.
Year round. All right. Is your winter time the same as ours?
No, it's in July, especially in July.
July
and
is just when it
August.
gets cold,
Mhm.
just the opposite of ours.
Yes.
In the southern hemisphere. All right, well, those are the end of our slides, I guess. And well, thank you very much, sister, for showing us these beautiful slides. We'll be right back to you. We're watching what's going on here. We're at the St. Mary's Mission Center. We're talking with Sister St. Rita, and we also talked with Rita LaBombard, the director, here at the Mission Center. Well, I was going to ask about this map, but I've been told I should ask you, sister. I've been asked to ask you, was it easier to leave here when you left your mother and father to go to Africa, or when you left Africa to come back here?
Well, I must say the truth. When I left Africa,
It was easier or
it was
harder?
harder.
Harder, huh?
Yes, I've been there longer. I spent 37 years. I spent 27 here
Hmm.
that time. Yes. And yes, that's what it is. And 37. So I must say I found it harder to leave Lesotho than I did to leave here.
Would I be correct if I said it was a labor of love?
Yes,
Huh?
you're correct.
You really loved it, huh?
Yes, I really loved it.
Well, I'm sure those people, do you still correspond? You
Oh,
correspond?
yes, I correspond again.
Regularly?
Yes, I
Now,
correspond with
And do
them.
they read your letters, I suppose, to
Yes.
the people, huh?
Yeah.
Lesotho, which is the former Bagata land?
Basutoland.
Basutoland. All right, now, this is, remember, in the lower right-hand part of Africa, and this is the yellow part you saw in the original map.
Yes.
And this, you told me, is where your mission was?
Yes, Kachasnek.
Kata's Neck?
Yes, we have 5 missions in Kachasnek.
5 there, all
Yes.
right. And then
We have 1 over here
one over here.
in Kuting.
And
And then we have 2 in Masiro.
which is here.
Yes.
And then
We have some here. And we are neighbor to Mokotlong.
I'm going to tell you how I pronounced it. Makhatlon. And you said it's how?
It's Mokotlong.
There. Okay. And that's where you have, and look at these names here now. Thabananleyana. How do you say it?
Tabantlenyana.
Right next to the highest mountain in South Africa.
Well, yes, that's it.
That's it
That's
right
what
there.
it says,
Yes.
too.
Okay, it's all in meters too, you'll notice. Okay, that's what we're talking about, the roadmap of there. And here is the picture of your bishop
Yes.
and
Our Holy Father,
our Holy
the Pope,
Father, the Pope.
who came to visit us in 1988 for the beatification of Father Girard, a French priest. He was beatified in that year, and I was responsible for the Holy Father's, I was working for the visit of our Holy Father.
And I also understand that this past July you had a visitor here in Champlain, New York?
Yes, Father
bishop,
Bishop Biswani came to visit me for 2 days.
It must have been a thrill
Yes,
to see him
he
here.
was very happy. And then he said Mass at St. Mary's Church.
I
And
think
we went to Isle of Mat also.
Wait, let me ask you the most important question. Did you go to Moore's Forks?
No.
You didn't show him Moore's Forks. All right. All right. All right. We have another typical picture again of I guess this comes from a calendar probably, huh?
Yes, it does come from a calendar.
And here you can see some of the huts.
Yes.
And look at that. Is that a beautiful view?
And it's winter time. It's July. It's the month of July because you see the snow in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
They have the climates opposite of us.
And that's right in your area there?
Yes.
Okay.
And this one too, it's in our, that's why I kept the calendar because it was taken in our
yes.
area.
There's that river you talked about.
The Orange River, and the people cross this river and they go way up on the other side.
So it's not very deep then?
No.
Right? Can you drink that water? Is that
No.
water? No.
No.
Huh?
No. We get our water from the springs.
Mm-hmm. Look, now here is a little wall between the huts here.
Yes, and there are some huts, and this is especially autumn there, or when it's time to cultivate.
Now this is some of the crops, right?
Yes, yeah.
And that is what is that?
It's sorghum or
That's-
grass. Some of it is grass to attach to the roof.
Okay. Okay, here's a typical house, I think you told me, right?
Yes.
Hut.
This is the kind of hut they live in.
And someone, either Rita or Sister Saint Rita, said the 2 windows and the door. That's typical?
Yes.
No back door?
No, just one door. And then they do drawings on the side of the building here.
Mm-hmm.
It's cattle dung, and they
Hold it together? Yeah.
Mhm.
Do they move around very much? I mean, are they likely to be here all their life?
Oh, they sit near the hut very often. They sit near the door.
But I mean,
And
do they
come-
move?
They move, yes.
From village to village?
Village, yes, and they come to the dispensary often enough.
Do they have a marriage ceremony
Yes,
for life?
yes, also for life.
How big is a typical family? How many children would they have?
Well, they have 2, 3, but some of them, they have large families.
Mm-hmm. All right. Here's some of your
Yes, that's
vegetation.
not far from Sikakis. So we have these cactus plants growing along the road. I don't know if you can see the road very well, but it's not very
through
nice.
here. No, it looks like a dried up riverbed, if you pardon the expression. But so you spent these 37 years within
An area of
100 miles, 50
yes,
miles?
100
huh?
miles. Hmm.
but you lived in a immediate area, then you traveled to the others,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So you were mostly in this original, where you showed us this mission, that's where you lived all those years.
Yes, 25 years in that
Did it
mission.
seem like 25 years?
Oh, no. It went by fast.
It did, huh?
Yes.
You were corresponding with your parents at home all this time?
Oh, yes.
Where was that when you worked with the bishop? Was that also over here?
Yes, that was over here, Kachasnek also.
What's the headquarters of the country?
And this is Matatiel, that's outside of the country in the Republic of South Africa. We went shopping there. We go shopping at Matatiel.
What could you buy when you go shopping?
We bought goods, you know, like
Can you buy
yeah, we can buy most
canned goods?
Yes, canned goods.
You do
and
have
that.
things like that? All right.
Yes, and the garages, when we had to go to the garages. And,
That's right, you do have to
and
get
the
your car
doctors,
fixed. Huh?
yes.
If your car don't run, how do you get it to the garage?
Yes.
Tough. Now, where's the capital of the...
Masiru is the capital of Masiru.
All right, yeah. All right, and we got this typical... what's happening here? You can see here there's absolutely no trees.
No, well...
A couple down in the bottom here.
This must be a meeting of the men. They must have had a meeting someplace, and they're going home, and they're all dressed up in their blankets, as you see.
They all have a blanket, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
And
it's a way to get away from their wives at the hut. that they have to have these. It sure is not much out there as far as...
And look at the mountains.
Yes, they're beautiful.
They're beautiful. At
Yeah.
night they are
We've
really
seen that.
beautiful. Yes.
Yep. And I guess we have here
The
waterfall.
Libyan Falls.
Say that again?
The Libyan.
Libyan
A
Falls.
name after Father Libyan.
And
And there are two people down there.
who was Father Libyan?
He was a father, an oblate father.
Okay, now there's two people here,
Yes.
and you can see that there's snow, it's been
yes.
frozen.
Frozen, yes.
It's like a real high,
quite
it's very high
yes.
fall. Is that very far from where you were?
Not very far, and when I went by plane, the plane would come down lower so I could see it well.
Mm-hmm. How many people were on the plane when you would, like that plane, for instance?
Two.
Two.
One or
So-
two,
So
yes.
he could do what he
It was a
wanted.
little plane.
You weren't delaying too many people by
No.
doing that. All right, let's get ourselves together. We'll be right back. You're watching what's going on here. Bob Ben, Sister St. Rita, and Rita LaBombard, who we haven't had on here for the past few minutes, and we'll have to get back to Rita in a second. Looking in Sister's photo album here, and this one to show you. Here's a December or January scene, which would be the summertime in Basuto Land area. And then here is the winter, at least part of winter. You can see, and as I can see, there's no shoes on those people. That's bare feet out there in that snow. And one of the reasons why you need the clothes to be sent there, and winter clothes too, is because it isn't always warm. And remember, they don't go inside where it gets warm either. It's going to be just as cold nearly when they get inside, except the wind don't blow, right?
Yes.
That's hard to appreciate that there's,
that's
we
that
have
much
got
cold.
to where we're pretty sissified by needing heat and got to be 80 degrees inside.
And you forget that it's cold over there.
Yes, you just don't think of it when you think of Africa. All right, now, Rita, we're going to look at some of your pictures here. I don't know if you can remember now who these are as I'm looking, but...
This was our first Father Hambo. He was a Holy Cross father from Bangladesh, which was Pakistan at that time. He was our first missionary, and he had slides, and we invited people from Plattsburgh and around to come over. Yes.
See Mrs. Willette,
Yes.
who's a teacher here.
This was Dad.
Your dad there.
No.
And there's Rita here. This is 1957, and here are some of the
articles ready
to be sent to them. Here's some of the rosaries they made at that time, and that's gone now. Are you not doing that anymore now?
The articles that we prepared.
Some more pictures of 1957, Rita, with some of the statues and an altar that they prepared back then, and things have changed now. And I was reading, Rita, in one of the old newspaper articles, the first year, 1957, you sent 66 pounds of clothes. and in 1980 you sent 9 tons. And today, I don't know how many tons. I mean, you send 3 carloads, boxcars a year.
Besides what we send out,
So,
what we sell at the thrift shop.
okay, now let's mention about that thrift shop. So within the trailer next door, you sell some clothing too?
What we do is we take the clothing that's not too practical to ship overseas or any other areas, and we help our local people by selling this clothing in the thrift shop, and also articles like sometimes they're dishes, whatever, that we help our local people that need things like that.
Yeah. Now when you say you're selling, your prices are very reasonable.
Well, they're very low. It's just a few cents of.
Just so that you're not really giving it away, and then that money, obviously, you need. I wanted to ask you, what do you do for money? You have heat, you have lights, you have food, there's people coming in here all the time, and you have a lot of expenses outside. Where do you get your money for the mission?
Well, the mission is operating entirely on the volunteer donations of people. Money that we take in from the clothing, and many times people come over and they'll give us a few dollars here and there, and sometimes they give us a rather large amount. Some of them they're having problems, and they'll say, I want to give you a donation, and we just pray for them, so that they help out.
Now, you don't send any money as such to the missions, do you?
No, we don't,
All right,
because
so,
we don't have that.
Okay, if you've been watching some of the TV shows and you know what's some of the things that are going on with some of the mission drives that you the other night on 2020 and Jim Baker and the others, and what that money goes in someone's pocket. That money here is not, you're not giving money to be sent. This money is to get the heat and the lights and the roof on the building and the things.
The operating expenses is what we use the money for. And then what we do is we keep a record of the money that comes in. Everything is banked, and we pay everything by check. So that way we don't have to worry about what happened to this money and that money or whatever.
Over the years, it won't come as a big surprise to anybody that there are people who have come here when they're hungry, strangers sometimes, and they have been fed.
Yes, we've done that
and
quite a few years.
After a fire, someone has a fire, they come up here, they get all the clothing they want practically, right? That happens too.
Yeah.
And so if you got clothing, give Rita a call. If you want to volunteer some time, give Rita a call. And if you'd like to donate some cash, which is always, you don't have any drives in the church for you, right? You don't pick up you don't have any canisters out or anything like that. No. It's from the, it's all very...
We operate entirely on the generosity of the people. With the clothing, the time that they volunteer their services. God is very, very good. We just can't outdo Him, that is for sure. And I am so grateful to Him because it goes to prove how God provides. That's always been my philosophy that I grew up with, because Dad's philosophy, he had that philosophy. And it's always been true so far.
Now, you're getting mainly, these clothes come in from throughout the diocese, mainly, right?
Not necessarily. A lot of them comes in from Canada, and a lot of them comes in from Vermont.
And this is all word of mouth.
It's all word
right?
of mouth. We don't have too many articles in the paper because we just don't have time to we're so busy that we just don't have time to...
Let me tell you that when you see clothes here, I'm talking clothes upon clothes upon clothes. You have no idea. Here are some pictures, again, his father, DeRosier, 1958. If you remember, you've been to our church. Consequently, that was his favorite word. And Brother Lefebvre. And here's again his father.
That's Father Bra. He was one
South
of our
Africa?
Yeah, he was one of our missionaries. We've had several missionaries, both priests, and we've had several bishops come over and visit us.
Mm-hmm. Here's Simon Juno here, in this picture, one of the volunteers over the years. We know that Alcide LaFountain is here regularly, Agnes LaFountain, Paul LaFountain, Myrtle Gooley was an active
yes,
one
Myrtle
here for
Gooley was
years.
good.
Mrs. Dutill from up the street. Who are some of the other people you see on a regular basis?
We have some Rita Jelliker from Plattsburgh, and some of her helpers come in, and then we have a lot of people locally that help out too, like Barbara Wilkins has been very faithful. She's been running the thrift shop for a couple of years, and she also does most of the packing.
When is your thrift shop open? Any particular days or?
Well, it opens in the spring, early in the spring, and late in the fall it closes, because in the winter time it's too hard to heat the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're going to heat the trailer and it costs us $5 to heat it, and we have only a dollar or two that comes in,
Yes.
it doesn't pay.
Now you send clothes. I mean, you send your material to. You still send to Peru?
Not
in
right
South
now. They're trying to organize something so that we will be able to ship down there. But we're sending some to Jamaica, to Father Walsh down there, and we're sending some to Africa. And mostly the bulk of it goes to the American Indians.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're limited on what we can ship to Africa, and we're limited what we can ship.
Cost, right?
Yeah, and so we.
Now, do you have to get permission from the government in order to receive that, sister? When do they?
Oh, we need permission, yeah.
I mean, do you get any problems? Are they glad to get
no,
it? They're
yes,
glad to get it, I
yes.
would think, huh?
Yes, they are glad to get it.
Does the government do much for the people where you were?
Yes,
Do they
yes.
still do some too,
Yes,
huh?
they do something, yes.
Is there, do they give them any money to help build a hut or
No,
anything?
they can't give that, because they don't have it, but...
Where's the income come for the country? Hard to say.
It's very poor. That's all I can say, it's very poor. The man that works, some of them work in the mines. They send money to their wife, but they educate their children, and it takes everything.
Mm-hmm.
They have very little to eat. And
Here's an example of a donation of 50 different dresses, all alike, I guess, from a manufacturer.
Yes.
Right here, they gave it, and
Yes, every once in a while we have stuff that comes in brand new like that. It has to go over.
I think there have been times when things coming in from Canada were not marked properly, couldn't be distributed, and by permission from the government, they were able to give it away instead of exporting it, because it would be given to somebody else free of charge.
Yes.
And the customs have been involved in that a couple times, I believe. Here's some pictures that would give you an example of
clothing.
some clothing that's been tied together in barrels. That's a 1965 shipment. And here's another shipment of 1965. Look at the bundle. And all of this originally was on your porch, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Back up until 1968 when you got the trailer. And did I read somewhere where you actually cracked your foundation by having too much stuff out there?
That's why we had to move to go in to the trailer. We didn't know what to do. We were really desperate. We had no funds, and the foundation was cracking in the porch, and the floor was leaving the wall and on the house that's connected, the part that's connected to the house. So we were desperate, and we didn't know what to do, and somebody came along and they said, we investigated just putting up a building, and that would run into thousands of dollars, which we didn't have. So we really didn't, we were really desperate. And somebody come along and they said, you know, how about a house trailer? So then we started investigating house trailers, and when we got that one there, it was very dirty. And the people that had it, it was a repossessed. And the man that had it, he had taken it apart, dismantled it, so that it was very difficult for them to put it back into a house trailer. So the man said, if you want to get this one, he said, I'll give you a real good deal on it. If we don't have to clean it, or we don't have to do too much. So anyway, they moved the furnace for us, never charged us anything. and they took one of the walls out for us, and they brought it over here. And then this man said, well, he said, if you need that so bad, he said, I'll pay for it, and then you pay me with no interest as you get the money. So I said, praise God. And so anyway, that's how come we got our trailer.
Now, what do you do in the trailer? That's where you separate your clothes and things? And
Well, we used to do a lot of packing in there, but now we have the thrift shop, and so now it's so cold in the wintertime, we don't do too much packing. It's mostly, well, on real nice days, they'll do some packing, but not so much.
yeah. Now, here's another picture I'm glancing through here of some of the boxes that have been packed and taped together. And that was in May of 1965, and here are some of the missionaries helping, the young missionaries, it says, who were doing some of the work. And then I just noticed a picture here of Sister Norbert. I just saw it in here.
Yes, she brought
Here she is right here, and she should be known to an awful lot of people. Kindergarten here for many, many years. The center receives a special gift from Sister Norbert. Did she give you a television?
No, she gave me it was a statue.
Oh, the statue on top here, okay.
Yes, a little,
All right. Statue of Jesus of Prague.
yes.
And they're getting a new wardrobe here. Someone is making a wardrobe for it. And you get an awful lot of priests that stop in here.
Yes.
When anybody comes into our area, our average they come
We
in.
have a
Yes.
lot of missionaries that come in, bishops and missionaries.
Do you always know ahead of time when they're coming?
Not necessarily. They usually just come
They come,
whenever
yes.
they are able to come through.
Here it says 120 sets of children's garments.
We used to have, that is one thing that bothers me very much. We used to, years ago, have a program that would include anybody that wanted to do anything. We had women that would like to sew. They
Mm-hmm.
could make children's clothing. We had boxer type shorts and very simple garments for them to make. And then we had somebody that was making rosaries, and other people that would knit. They could make leper bandages. And so we had all these programs. And then the ones that could mend would mend on the clothing that was brought in. But because of the lack of time and the lack of help, we've had to discontinue a lot of these programs.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm hoping someday to be better organized, and so that we can reestablish these programs.
I see you have some pictures here of a First Communion class in Pakistan. You also had some items
Yeah.
sent to Pakistan over the years?
Yeah, he was a missionary in Pakistan, Father Patno. He's back and he's staying up at the shrine, in St. Joseph's Shrine in Montreal.
He was one of the early ones here with you, wasn't he, back in
Yeah,
1957?
we started working with him.
Yeah. I think we've covered just about. There's some more. This is what's inside. You can see. This was on the porch. This is before your
Yeah.
porch pulled away. Here are all the clothes here and in there, and packed all over it because they had so much. You can't leave them out. This looks like it came from Tupper Lake.
That might be.
Tupper Lake, Messina, St. Regis Falls, came from all over the area. And we're at the St. Mary's Mission Center on Oak Street in Champlain, the mission center there for the whole northeast section of the state of New York. And we're talking with Rita LaBombard. We guess we'd call you the director, the owner, the operator here of the house, and also Sister Saint Rita, who was for 37 years in South Africa. And we'll be right back to you. And thanks very much for watching Hometown Cable. The program is called What's Going On Here?
Now this is Sister Rita when she had visited us one of the times.
You can see here, all right,
This one here.
up here, and this is in,
And then this is her again over there. She's robbing the rhubarb.
She was smiling because she knew she was going back to Africa. See, that's why she was smiling so much at the time. Excuse me. Here she's stealing rhubarb. She's going to try to plant rhubarb. She's going to have to hurry to get it back there while it's still green.
And these are some of the cookies that we used to have a program that we used to gather before
grief.
Christmas, and we just sometimes we'd make up to 35 pounds of cookies that we would distribute to shut-ins. We on a Sunday before Christmas we would everybody bring in their cookies that they had made, and we would gather here and decorate them whatever way that they wanted to decorate them. And then we would distribute them to the shut-ins. But we had to discontinue that too because so many of our people are deceased and many our laborers are busy, the ones that were active in the program. So we've had to discontinue that.
We look at these and we see Father Hunt here in the red shirt. And up here it says 1969. That's nearly 22 years, folks. And it does fly, doesn't it, sister?
Oh, yes, it does fly.
Rita?
It
And
sure does.
And there's a lot of good memories in all these pictures, in all these various books here of people working, helpers on shipping day. And Rita will call and say, we're going to be shipping tomorrow, and can you give me a couple, 3, 4 hours? And sometimes there's 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 people, and we get it done, eh, Rita?
Yes, and sometimes
you can't always
they get
plan it
real
ahead.
stiff out of it, but
Yeah.
they're muscles that they haven't
Yeah.
used for a long time.
Can't plan too far ahead. You have to wait till the truck's going to arrive, or the train, right?
That's
Train
the
car.
problem. We never can plan ahead because we plan one way and
There's somebody helping here put the trailer up in May 1969.
yeah, that's Mr. Brunel installing the light out there.
Boxes and boxes of.
Yeah, that was our Peruvian shipment when it was ready to go out.
It's just too bad. The biggest expense is getting it there, and that's.
Yeah,
that
it's
puts the
really
damper on
sad
it.
because the whole program is geared to volunteers, you know, and like Eris Labs, God bless their hearts, they give us the fiber drums.
Yes.
Mhm.
And if
help.
it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be able to ship.
No.
And you can't ship it in
no,
boxes.
See,
no.
these people
No.
are dressed with the uniforms that we sent.
Oh, here, this is in Africa,
Yes.
Yeah.
Those
next to
are-
the huts, and they're all alike with uniforms that were sent. Are those school uniforms?
Yes.
And where'd you get so many of the same thing?
Well, they were, sometimes the school would discontinue their
Oh,
uniforms.
okay, here, they were
They
school
give them.
uniforms then,
Yeah,
okay.
they
Yeah.
were.
That must be just like Christmas when they clothes come in, right?
Yes. That's Christmas.
Because
Yeah.
most of these people can probably take their possessions and carry them on a horse or on their back,
yes,
right?
they
They don't
can.
have enough.
No.
They don't have. Do they have toys? Real toys?
No, they don't have
Nothing
any.
like that. Huh?
No. Only those that we send.
Yes.
We sent Rita, Sister Rita Marie, a barrel with a lot of toys in for her
For our classroom,
her
huh?
classroom, and I don't know how many letters from people, from the people, the parents down there, how they've been enjoying those toys down there.
Mhm. Okay, we'll be right back. It wouldn't be right to just mention 3 Ritas when there's a 4th one, and we have a picture of another Rita. Who's this Sister Rita?
Sister Rita Maria.
And-
She's a Musutu.
Okay, and then she was with you at the mission?
Yes, she was working with me. at the
Is
mission.
this the brick building? Is that?
That's her. She's in the Republic of South Africa teaching in Bethlehem.
Okay, well, she
She's
was
teaching in Bethlehem now. Bethlehem
in South
in
Africa.
South Africa.
And before that, she was at your
She
mission?
was with me.
Did she start with you? Did
Yes,
she became a sister?
I had her as a juvenist.
Is that right?
Yes, she was in my class.
Well, now there you go. What's a juvenist?
A juvenist is before the postulants and
Okay.
novices.
Okay, that's when they first get into
Yes.
sisterhood. Are a lot of them who are at the mission become sisters?
Well, that's difficult.
It's difficult, huh?
for them to become sisters.
It is, huh?
Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to be closing out. We want to thank you for being with us here and visiting the St. Mary's Mission Center. We planned on going outside, but it was snowing and it was pretty cold out there, so we decided we wouldn't do that. We've been in here talking and seeing pictures and talking with Rita and Sister Rita. And Sister Saint Rita. You got to say S-T twice. Rita, anything else you want to bring up while we're
Yes,
talking?
I would like very much to express my gratitude to everyone for being so wonderful. Without the cooperation of everybody, we would never have been able to accomplish what has been accomplished with this mission program. And I hope everybody will continue to assist us so that our work can expand and so that God's people will be helped in some way or in another. And I also want to thank Eris Labs for donating the fiber drums that they have, because without those we would have to discontinue our shipments overseas because we couldn't afford to buy the boxes. And the fiber drums seem to handle very nicely in transit and so on. So there's just no words to express my gratitude to everybody, financially for their assistance and for the material and their labor also. Because with united, alone we can do nothing or very little, but united, everybody working together with each their God-given talent, a lot can be accomplished.
There's always someone who wants our money. Someone's always got a lot of good causes, but it's that time of the year. It's Christmas. We think of everybody at Christmas, and sometimes we carry on for another month and we kind of forget. If you've got an extra $5 or $10, she's not asking, I'm asking, why don't you just send it to St. Mary's Mission Center? I'm sure Rita would appreciate it. It would show up in the work that you're doing and make it a little bit easier to do her work for others. None of this is for her. It's all for others. Sister, over the years, you could say how much you've appreciated.
Yes, I
getting the
appreciate
merchandise.
everything that was sent to the missions of South Africa. And every year we are waiting to receive it, and I thank all the people that have given generously to the mission center, and then the clothes were sent to us. So I thank you very much, and I ask God to bless you in return.
And one more thing about Sister, if you are feeling down in the dumps and you don't feel like smiling, just meet this nice lady right here. And if you cannot smile when you look at her beautiful smile, you're a type of person that I don't know. You always got that nice smile on her face, and it's nice having you in Champlain with us. You going to be with us for a while, Sister?
I think so. I don't know. I hope so.
You go over to school, I think. Are you helping? Are you
teaching? A little bit. I'm teaching a boy for First Communion. But I visit the elderly people and the senior citizens.
Okay.
Yeah.
You notice how she looked at us when she said that? She said she visited a senior citizen, and she looked at you and I just like we were one of them or something, huh?
Well, I don't know.
We know how old her sister is, too.
You are. I am too, huh?
Yeah,
Sister, I thank you for putting up with me and my
I thank you
jabbing
very
you
much.
here during the day, but it was a pleasure. I've never talked with you for so long. I've always said hello and that's it. But it was nice meeting you and to know that you're from Moores Forks and our area.
I know, from the big city of
Yeah,
Moores
big city of
Forks.
Moores Forks.
Yeah.
And thank you very much also, Rita, and giving us the
Well, I
opportunity.
thank you very much I appreciate this very much.
And thank you for watching Hometown Cable.
Yeah.
Stay tuned in.
The address.
Oh, the address. St. Mary's Mission Center.
28 Oak Street.
28 Oak Street.
Champlain.
12919 298 3503.
That's right.
All right, and if you don't have the money and you don't have the time, remember, say a prayer day. We all can use
we
it,
all
right?
need those. Yeah, and we remember every time a mass is offered in the chapel there, we always pray for our benefactors.
All right, now we mentioned, just a minute, you talk about the chapel. There's a chapel on the front porch.
Yes.
Here, is there a light out there?
Yes.
Can we see that
Yes.
at this time?
Yes, there's a
Okay,
light
let's
out.
just take 2 minutes to show you the chapel. It's on the, and the mass is said here at
Yes,
the...
and I would like to say that
comes through.
they have a mass every month said for the benefactors also in South Africa.
In Africa, oh, they do?
Lesotho, yes.
Oh, okay, terrific. All right, with that, my back is toward the road, and we're looking, that would be looking north on the porch. And they've made a small chapel out here. The altar is there, and the mass is said here.
Whenever a missionary comes through, they say mass.
They say mass here. And now this is the porch where you had all your...
Well, we started our work, yes.
You did it right out here. And there's no heat out here, right? You don't heat?
Well, we have the registers.
You
but
do
we don't
have-
we're not using the porch too much now.
Okay,
so we're
but you
closing
could if you
off.
wanted to have a mass.
So it heats up
If I wanted to say mass, something like that, I could.
You could,
Yeah, I
yeah.
could.
we just
I
have
don't do well saying that, but I hear confessions. Let me ask you, sister, now that you're back in easy land here, so to speak, and are you getting spoiled now to all the extra heat and the televisions and?
Yes, but it doesn't make me happier.
It doesn't make you any. Well, you know, if it makes any of us any happier, we think we are maybe, but we're not any happier, are we? All right, and again, I'd like to thank you. And this, you say, with the family home for over 40 years, correct? And now it's a lot of people in here, in and out all the time.
come constantly. And I don't know, you never know who's coming from where. So makes life interesting.
Okay, and if we were talking to our dog, what would we call him?
Amber.
Amber. This is Amber. Hi, Amber. The guardhouse here. The guard. Okay, thank you again for watching Hometown Cable. Remember, Hometown Cable is on every night, every day at 1:15, 4:30, 8 o'clock, midnight, and 8 the following morning at this time anyway. And our program, What's Going On Here, Calvin on the camera, Bob here with the mic, is on Sunday nights at those same hours. And thanks much for